Hey everybody, it's Jurius Doctor, and today we're going to be taking a look at part 5 of my series covering Rubicon to today, the year 2017. In 2017, we got a new announcement of suns being reduxed in the game, new graphics, and new colors of suns. This is introduced at the Eve Vegas Art of Eve panel. This was a really big change because it meant that there was a lot more immersion and detail provided as you went from solar system to solar system, and really helped to kind of differentiate the feel of places, not just when you were crossing regional boundaries between, say, Amar and Caldari space, but also as you're moving from one system to another. This also leveraged new rendering technologies which were introduced into the game and really took advantage of the ability to generate on-the-fly changing graphics around suns. The ability to cast shadows and better lighting upon the new ship models that have recently been redeveloped. This has continued with the development of new ship models and new structure models, and these new solar effects are really quite nice. You can actually check this out in any system in EVE Online today. Just warp to a system or open the agency and take a look at nearby anomalies. It will show you in the anomaly view what the color of each sun is in the adjacent systems. 2017 was also the year we saw the Upwell engineering complexes and refineries introduced into the game. Refineries and engineering complexes really provide industrial corporations a home base in space, with the engineering complexes in particular being focused on industry, invention, manufacturing, research. The service modules actually came online in 2016, with the complexes coming out themselves in 2017. A clear differentiation between the service modules and the complexes is that the service modules can be installed in any Upwell structure, but the engineering complexes themselves are specifically bonused for these activities. Additionally, the bonuses conferred are higher and lower security space. It's a sliding scale. I do have a slide for that, which we'll cover in a second. Now, an important note is that an ASBEL, the medium-sized structure, can build capitals, but they cannot dock in an ASBEL. It is a one-way undocking, so make sure that you have all your modules and required fittings ready to go in the structure so that you can fit the vessel before you undock it. Otherwise, you will be undocking a naked hull. Engineering service modules come in a few different varieties. The basic one that you'll need is the Stand-Up Manufacturing Plant 1. This is the baseline service module if you want to build anything in EVE. Ship hulls, modules, rigs, you name it, you need this service module. Now, the Stand-Up Capital Shipyard will allow you to build capital ships and orcas, freighters, and so on. The Stand-Up Super Capital Shipyard allows you to build supers and titans. Now, the Capital Shipyard, I will note, can only be installed in an ASBEL or larger, and can only be installed and online in low-sec, largely because you can't bring capitals into high. The Stand-Up Super Capital Shipyard can only be installed in nullsec or wormholes with the same restrictions. The Stand-Up Research Lab can be installed in any structure and is required for research and invention. Research and copying. The Stand-Up Invention Lab is required for invention. Now, there are meta versions of these, including the Hiasoda Research Lab. Engineering rigs are different rigs at different sizes. Larger rigs bonus multiple distinct activities which are broken out as individual rig bonuses in smaller structures. So in an ASBEL, your rigs will confer bonuses to making ship hulls, subcapital ship hulls, and also modules, whereas those are separate rigs in the smaller Raitaru structure. Now, when we talk about rig sec status scaling, it is important to note that all engineering complexes benefit from a 1% base material cost reduction against all of these structures, regardless of which area of space you're in, and either a 3, 4, or 5% cost reduction in ISK for all jobs started in these structures. This is what really sets them apart above other Upwell citadels and other structures is that if you are specifically building things, it's going to be less expensive overall in material and its cost if you do it in an engineering complex. Now, the rigs will provide higher bonuses as you go further into low and null security space or wormholes. There is one base value for high security space and one for a low security space. You get a 90% increase over the high sec value when you're in low. And in null and wormhole space, you get a 110% bonus over the base value from high sec. So I'm going to run over these bonuses pretty quickly here, but keep this slide up later if you want to review. Tech 1 rigs, which provide manufacturing material input benefits, basically reducing the amount of material and costs that you're going to pay towards manufacturing. Tech 1 get a 2% increase in high sec, a 3.8% increase in low, and a 4.2% in null. If you go to a Tech 2 rig of the same type, high sec gives you a 2.4% bonus, a 4.56% bonus in low, and a 5.04% bonus in null sec. Moving on to rigs which provide a manufacturing or science speed bonus, which is reducing the amount of time that it takes to do the jobs. Tech 1 rigs confer a 20% bonus in high, a 38% bonus in low, and a 42% bonus in null and wormholes. Moving to a Tech 2 rig will provide you a 24% bonus in high, a 45.6% bonus in low, and a 50.4% bonus in nullsec. The last category of rigs is those which provide a science cost reduction. In high sec, you'll see a 10% bonus, 19% in low, and 21% in null. If you opt instead for the Tech 2 and slightly more expensive version of this rig, you'll see a 12% bonus in high, a 22.8% bonus in lull, and a 25.2% bonus in nullsec and wormholes. So these are pretty significant gains on top of the base roll bonus for the structure itself and whatever your skills will bring. 2017 also brought in the addition of the mining ledger, which, if you are an officer of a corporation, allows you to see how all of the members of your corporation have been mining, what they've been mining, how often and when, total values and volumes, and which solar systems they've been mining from. Now, for even just the individual pilot, this is hugely advantageous, especially if you're an industrialist, because it allows you to see where and when you've been mining, in what quantities, and at what times of day, and the price value by volume over time. This is extremely useful and was really one of the first major additions of real-time metrics to players provided to them in the game, rather than having to wait for things like the monthly economic report. 2017 also saw a big shift in moon mining, moving it away from a passive activity into an active activity with the release of the Upwell Refineries. How it works is Upwell Refineries have a new beacon location on moons. There's the standard warp 2 for the moon, and then there's the mining point, which is a static beacon at each moon in New Eden. When you warp to the mining point, you can place your Upwell Refinery anywhere within a certain distance of the mining point. What happens is that each refinery will come fitted with a mining laser. Think of it as a supercharged, very, very large version of what you use on a mining barge. It will target the moon and carve a giant chunk out of the moon's surface, and then with a very large tractor beam, haul that into space and bring it closer to the refinery. When it's met a certain distance from the refinery, the mining laser will detonate the chunk and turn it into a temporary asteroid field, which lasts 2 days, and then can be actively mined by you and your corp mates to retrieve the exotic and rare ores that are found only in moons. This turns moon mining and the processing of moon gopher reactions from a passive activity that happened just by statute of it being in a pause and not happening over time, into an active activity that introduced opportunities for increased gameplay and conflict by allowing those gains to be ninja salvaged or mined, for mining fleets to be disrupted, and so on. It's actually been a great addition to the gameplay in EVE. Refineries come in two sizes: the medium, which is the Athenor, and the large, which is the Tatara. They have some distinct differences between them, and they are differently bonused. Medium refineries allow the docking of subcapitals and freighters. Large allow docking of rorquals. So you can dock an Orca or a freighter in a Athenor, but you cannot dock a rorqual in an Athenor. You can only dock a rorqual in a Tatara. Refining can be done in any structure with the correct modules, but reactions can only take place in refineries. That is, if you want to make T2, T3, and boosters. Received bonuses are higher and lower security space, so your rig sliding scale is in effect for refining as well. Reactions and service modules are the Stand-Up Composite Reactor 1, the Stand-Up Biochemical Reactor 1, and the Stand-Up Hybrid Reactor 1, each one of these being used for different production. Refinery rigs affect efficiency, either material efficiency of reactions or time, duration of the reaction process. There are also rigs for reprocessing. Medium rigs will improve one variable and large rigs will improve both variables. To give you an idea, if you place a Tatara on a moon in nullsec or in wormholes, and it is T2 rigged, and you have perfect skills and a beam counter implant, and you engage in reprocessing ores with perfect skills, you will achieve the maximum output for refining in the game, which caps out at 89%. That's an only 11% loss of material whenever you're reprocessing or refining. So it's definitely worthwhile to go to Tatara, but I will tell you that the T2 rig costs as much as a super. So they're very valuable structures, and when you add on the structure core that's required to online these structures and get them working, you're looking at a total investment in the tens or 20s of billions of ISK, at least, possibly a lot more. Refinery bonuses and features. The Athenor has a roll bonus, 2% bonus to mining refined yield. It gets a 20% reduction in reprocessing and reaction service module fuel consumption, which makes it significantly less expensive for fuel consumption to do your refining and reprocessing in a refinery. Its features are that it is the smallest structure which allows moon drilling, and it's also one of the least expensive structures to get into in the game. And to a certain extent, this is great because refineries are essentially a license to print money. But you need people and support to do it, and you can run reactions here. So it is essentially a place to generate things that will generate income or allow you to engage in other industry. If you're an industrial corporation in EVE and you're just getting started, having a citadel to base your defense fleets out of, having a Raitaru to build from, and having a refinery to refine your materials is sort of the trifecta of a starting corporation. The entry cost for both the Athenor and the Raitaru come in well under $1 billion ISK. Last I checked, they're both averaging about 650 to 680 million ISK for the structure hull, but do keep in mind that you still will have to fit them, have defensive fittings, and have service modules. So you're looking at about a cost of $1 billion ISK at least each, plus fuel costs. The Tatara has a roll bonus of 4% bonus to refining yield, a 25% reduction in reprocessing and reaction service module fuel consumption, and gets a 25% reduction in time for requirements for reaction jobs. So time requirements are significantly reduced. The other features are that it can launch defensive fighters, and rorquals can dock here. 2017 also saw the introduction of the agency, which was the bringing together a lot of sources of how you would find content in the game, be it mining fleets, mining opportunities, combat fleets, PvE sites, incursions, and so on, all into a single pane of glass. The agency at the time was a huge departure from how a lot of people found content in the game. There used to be several different places you would have to look, and this really brought everything together in a way that was fairly cohesive. Now, there's been some significant improvements to the agency over time, and I think that it is one of the best tools that EVE developers, CCP Games, has ever introduced. It's really fantastic, and if you're not using the agency, you probably should be. 2017 also saw the introduction of Blood Raider Shipyards, a new PvE content leveraging a new advanced API. New AI. The AI involved in the Blood Raider shipyards became significantly more aggressive and more intelligent, responding to players as players would expect other players to respond to them, involving escalation, using advanced combat tactics such as warp disruption and scrambling, using logistics to repair themselves, behaving for all intents and purposes like other players, and escalating appropriately as you brought more to fight. And the Blood Raider shipyards, as a unique location, also brought capital and super capital ships from the Blood Raider faction to the game. This new event site introduced the Blood Raider shipyards, which had to be scanned down. You had to follow a Blood Raider defense fleet back to this location in order to find them or probe it down and then engage them on site. But when you engaged them, they would provide intense proportionally escalating PvE, which would have the chance of dropping rare blueprint copies of the Blood Raider capitals and super capitals. This saw the introduction of the Chemosh Dreadnought, the Dagon Force Auxiliary, and the Moloch Titan. As Blood Raider vessels, all of them benefit from the ability to use Nosferatus even when at full power and well past the enemy ships have been completely drained. They're also hella beautiful, and the Blood Raiders capitals are also the only ships in the game that come with a built-in corpse bay. If that's not grim, I don't know what is. We also saw PLEX and NES changes in 2017. We saw the retirement of Aurum from use, and the PLEX was divided from a 1-to-1 ratio for a month of gameplay to a 500-to-1 ratio, essentially cutting the PLEX 500-to-1. This allowed microtransactions to be able to happen from the game. You would purchase a month's worth of Plex for gameplay would be 500 Plex to redeem, but that 500 Plex could be subdivided for the purposes of purchasing vanity skins, augmentations for your characters, and other vanity items on the new Eden store, essentially allowing you multiple different ways to purchase and achieve a lot of the same things, including player license extension. 2017 also saw the redesign of the CONCORD ships. The old CONCORD frigate and diplomatic shuttle was redesigned to be the new CONCORD pacifier frigate, or using the same ship model. I will note that all of the new CONCORD vessels are cloaking ships. They are covert ops or recon vessels to begin with, or black ops. The CONCORD police cruiser, which previously I found to be quite an interesting model, has been replaced by something which definitely is an homage to the original design, but a hell of a lot sleeker. The new CONCORD Enforcer cruiser is a recon vessel which is capable of warping cloaked, and one important note about all of the CONCORD vessels is that they are able to use every Empire's weapon systems. The last is the CONCORD battleship, one of the ugliest ship designs previously, which has been replaced by an absolute shark of a ship, the CONCORD Marshal battleship. This is a Black Ops battleship, and it is actually one of the more expensive subcapitals in the game, selling right now on the market for about the price of a low-cost super. They're very, very expensive. 2017 also saw a move of Project Discovery away from researching microbio to exoplanet identification, with players able to help identify planetary transits of planets moving in front of foreign stars, and to help researchers analyze radio spectrum data. thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for parts 6 and 7 of this series coming up soon.